Hello and welcome to the Slip Slip Sis YouTube channel. I'm Che.
I'm Gabs.
And this is our channel where we haven't podcasted in like 4 months, but we do a wide range of vids for you all. And we are coming to you today with another non-podcast special video. This is our, I'm going to call it Stash Stats 2024 to kick off our year. You can find us on Instagram, Ravelry. Our email is down below. All of the affiliate things Gabrielle has signed us up for are going to be down below as well. I just copy and paste every time. And today is Sunday, January 7th. So we are just just about a week into the new year. Gabs, why don't you start us off with like how we got into this or how you got into this and then I tagged along.
Well, so nice of you to ask, Che. So I got overwhelmed with the amount of junk in my house. And then I signed up for this decluttering challenge on Facebook. If you want to join, I think it's Diane Renee, and it's expensive. It's like $200 for decluttering. I know. So I decluttered my spaces, like it was a 5-day free trial, and I decluttered my spaces. And then I was like, well, I'm going to declutter my yarn stash. But then I've tried to do it before. So then I was like, you know what? I need to assess what I have. So then I wanted to join Ashley Springer's data along, where you make a spreadsheet of all your yarn stash. Well, I'm not that good with spreadsheets. My husband's really good with spreadsheets. He's an engineer. So I'm like bopping away on the spreadsheet. I got like 3 lines in and I'm like, this is terrible. Spreadsheets don't work. So then he fixed it. And then I put all my stuff in the spreadsheet. And then I am a big proponent of the gamification of goals and the gamification of learning. It's how I teach. So I was like, what if I made this a game? Because I do much better when it's a game rather than like a task. So then I made a bingo board, mostly for myself. And then I shared the bingo board on Instagram. And then we got 500 likes on the bingo board. And I'm like, other people like the gamification of goals as well. Well, look at that. And then we also have some prizes. Don't let me forget, I have to talk about what the prizes are, Jay. So then we're here on assessing our stash goals. And because it's a game and because I'm playing the game, Shaylee is a big proponent of not being left out. You
right?
Since we were little, like Shaylee has to sit in the middle seat, like in general. She has to sit in the middle of people, right? She like has to be, I don't know, she's bigger than me, but somehow she like wiggles into her spot. Like I don't know, she doesn't like being left out. She always wants to join, even if it's not something she wants to do. So now Che is in this because I'm like, well, you don't have to play. And now she's in. So that's where we are. We've both cataloged our stash, which is the center square of our bingo board. The others are to use parts of your yarn stash. So there's that. Hence the bingo board. Look at Shaylee. She's got a star for her middle space because she cataloged her stash. My plan is there are prizes monthly as well as quarterly. My plan is to switch out the bingo board every quarter. So every 3 months, the bingo board will change. Because for some, I know you don't have more than one of that skein in your stash. It's like kind of more like niche. I get like sock blanks. I don't have like a million sock blanks. I just only have one, right? Okay, Che has a lot, but and like some of it I have a lot of. Like I have lots of wool.
Wait, you have your sock reel?
Oh yes. But I have that. I think I have 2. I think I might only have 2, right? So that wouldn't be enough for me to play blackout. And you can enter multiple times if you get multiple blackouts. So if there ends up being a demand for a new bingo board sooner, I'll make the bingo board. Because it's not that hard. You just fill in X's. You just fill in boxes on Canva. If you want the link, like the PDF of the bingo board to print or to do whatever your organizational thing is, just email us. I will say I'm kind of trash at answering our slip sis email when I'm not working. So like when I'm not teaching, I don't really answer emails. I just like swear off my email entirely, personal emails and my work email. But once I'm back teaching in the classroom, which is tomorrow, I'll be better at my emails. And that's how we got to
check
this.
it. And I'm like, are you going to answer this person? And Gab's just like,
no. Because I don't answer my work email. So in my mind, that's the only email. Like I'm like, like I'm legally responsible. My contract tells me I have to answer my email every 2 weeks. I answer it faster at work, but over the break, I'm like, I'm not getting paid. I'm not answering this email. And I don't, unless it's a life-threatening emergency. Then I, of course, answer my email. I read my emails. I just don't answer them.
So here we are.
Yeah. So
to start us off, we are going to go over, I guess, the results of cataloging our stash. And I also used my sister's spreadsheet and then had questions. So then sent it to my brother-in-law for him to fix for me. And now it's nice. And it shows me the things that I want to see. So maybe actually on the spreadsheet, guys, you can go over the things that like you adjusted or added.
Okay, let me open the thing. So there were things on it that I just didn't use. So I think what my husband, I think he just changed the formulas on like number of skeins that you used. So I hid a bunch of columns of things that I wasn't using. Like, I guess I have to unhide them now. This is why Daniel does this, because I don't know how to unhide stuff.
You gotta highlight the ones on either side of it and then right click.
Thank you. So I hid the fiber content. This is Ashley Springer's template, and then we just added to it. So I hid the fiber content of the yarn because I decided that that was unnecessary. That I didn't really care. In terms of like tracking it, because when I picked up the skein, I would figure out what the fiber content is, and realistically, it's like 90% wool. It's wool, 90% of wool nylon blend. And what my husband also changed is he moved all of the totals to the top line instead of at the bottom. So before it was totaling at the bottom. So in order to see your total, you'd have to scroll to the bottom, because the way Excel works, apparently, not an expert on Excel, you can only freeze like rows at the top. So then you couldn't freeze the bottom row so you could see it. So now he moved it to the top. So now like across the top, I can see like my grams and the skeins used and all that stuff. So all my totals are there. Yeah. I also, this was the feature that I asked him to add, was how we acquired the yarn. This was like the big one that he had to like spend a bunch of time adding for me. And by a bunch of time,
that drop down thing is fancy.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. Can I share my screen? Does it allow me to?
You may not let you share yours because I'm
let's see. Let's see if it, nope, I did it.
All right.
I did it. Okay. Uh-oh, my boxy's in the way.
Why do you have so many tabs?
That's how I function. That's what my brain looks like.
God, what are you looking at on Disney?
Oh, the girls were watching Up.
Oh, that one's scary.
Lottie loves it. She loves like emotional, like, I don't know, like emotional conflict. Lenny is terrified of it, but Lenny loves Tangled because she likes like physical, like
action.
Yeah, like Lenny likes physicality and Lottie does not like that. So we're balancing it. So what this is here on the side, it's acquisition. We spelled it wrong. It's a drop-down menu on how we obtained this yarn. So it opens and it says purchase, gift, or giveaway. So how we got the skein. And then on the next, how I got the skein. And then in the next tab, totals by acquisition, it tells me like what percentage of my stash I got. So like I was gifted 49% of my stash.
Ours do not look the same.
So 212 of my skeins were gifts. Let's be real, about 150 of those are probably from my sister. Because that's what any partial skein she gives me, I'm counting as a gift. right? And then I purchased 132 of my skeins. So 30% of my stash I purchased. And then 88 skeins I won in a giveaway. So about 20% of my stash I won. So I'm feeling decent about that I only actually paid money for 30% of it. So it's still a lot of money, but I feel better about it. So Daniel put this together for me. So this is the spoiler on what my total is. He also did totals by yarn weight, so I could see what I had in my stash. So it was easy to see like what yarn I'm drawn to buying. Yeah, clearly I'm not really into cotton worsted or lace weight. I don't even have that much DK or cotton fade. Like there isn't that much. And this one boucle skein, which I know what weighted it. I know it's like a lace weight, but I put it as its own. And then we also have totals by brand, but I will save that for later. So that's what Daniel added, was to like organize so you could see the data better.
He had a really big list thing, I think, on the brand one, and it confused me so hard because I didn't know how it was created. So when I edited the main page, it had like still all of the brands that you had. And I'm like, I don't get it. And then he had to like, I sent it to him. He was like, I was like, you fixed it. He's like, I just deleted it. I'm like, okay, but like Daniel, how was I supposed to know it was just a copy paste? So not my fault.
So this video content is mostly Daniel and us being just confused by what he's done.
Yeah. Shout out our IT guy.
Yeah. Chief Technical Officer.
That would be our Daniel. So for mine, do you want me to share it or do you want? Okay. Well, now I've lost the Zoom because here we go. For your viewing pleasure. Okay, so this is my main page. I think I kept most of yours, or most of what you did. So I only cataloged my fully intact, unused items. So I don't have partials on here, and I also don't have minis on here because like I didn't like this part bothers me because I want to have all of the things filled in, and this is causing me immense pain. So I'm probably going to try and use those things first so that they can kind of like go away in my mind. Because like most of my minis don't have like ball bands on them or skein bands. So I don't know where they're from exactly. And that upsets me. So I like just like looking and scrolling and getting to see how many things are there because I like having things. Do you know why this is green?
No.
Okay, me neither.
It may have been that cell Daniel had colored green on mine. What cell is that?
I don't know. Well, it's adjusted, right? Because now it's in alphabetical order.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. You can ask, or you could just change the color.
I could do that, but that sounds less fun. I'll wait for Daniel. So I actually don't know what I'm supposed to do with the rest of these. I was gonna wait for Gabs to do stuff with hers and look at her spreadsheet. But go ahead.
You want me to tell you?
I guess I'm supposed to say how many grams I've used.
Yeah, so what I've been doing, I've been trying to use up my whole skein. So then when I use the skein, I put like 1. And then it also will subtract the grams out of it. So then that's how I have like my totals are going.
Like for this one, I would put 1 here.
See how it booped.
Yes. And then what do these mean?
I
guess these are a manual change.
Yeah, that if you yarn finish, no. Yeah, see, I hid those, I think, because it's like yarn traded. We don't really trade yarn. We just give each other.
Let's just hide them. Now you're
dun,
dun, dun, dun. Okay. So got it.
So your total intact skeins are 255.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. My total intact skein, I think, is like 141. But if you're like, but Gabs, you have 400 something. That's because I cataloged all my partials, all my minis, literally any scrap of yarn in the house that isn't in a full prod, that isn't like completed, bound off, is in my spreadsheet. So I started 2024 with 439 skeins of yarn. Then
Um,
but there's 440 entries on my sheet because I acquired one skein of yarn in January.
right. Okay. Sorry, in case you want to see, these were my totals by yarn weight. Clearly, I'm not as diversified as my sister. I did let one of my business students look at this, and he was very amused with the maturity level of a 20-year-old with the name of the fingering yarn. So he highlighted in yellow for himself because he thinks it's funny. That's why it's yellow. And then if you remember, Gabs was like 40, 40, or I guess 45, 43, 10 or whatever. These are Chaley's totals by type of acquisition. Big spender over here. So I don't care. Buy what you want. I think it's interesting that like the amount of grams is different from the skeins. I guess that makes sense, but here we go. But I got a whole 2 that were a giveaway, which is very exciting.
But to be fair, Chaley hasn't cataloged the minis. So sometimes we win other things and she hasn't cataloged the partials. So oftentimes when we win something on a giveaway, we split the yarn. So hers would be a partial.
Right.
So it does. So don't think Gabs just takes all the giveaway prizes and doesn't share them with her sister.
But I did do a count as of January 4th of everything. So, and I have since gotten things from them. So that's why it's not going to match up. So on the 4th, total intact skeins, 50 grams plus, I had 253. But now that seems off because I had gotten my Yarnable before when I had done this. So I've gained 2 skeins since then, hence the 255. They came in yesterday, not my fault. My total intact mini skeins, so unused minis, which were like 30 grams or less, I considered a mini, was 144. Okay, in my defense, there are 3 full advents that are
Is that a defense though?
There are 3 unused advents. It's not just random minis. And then my total partial skeins not currently in project. So I didn't include anything that's a whip in this, and that is 71. So my total was 468 to start off 2024. And I will say there were some like my big box yarns that I keep in a very different location that I completely forgot about. But in my mind, those are like not in like my stash. I don't know why. So those aren't in here either. So there's more yarn. Like I just realized this was on my desk and I did not count this in here because this is like a big box yarn thing. So that I'm just considering that's my dad's stash actually. Is
Holding it for a friend.
Yeah. I'm the storage location, and I have this like Triceratops project that I've been working on for 3 years that actually Dad's been working on for 3 years. I didn't count that either. So it's not a perfect count. So I'm going to say more than 450, less than 500 is where I'm at.
Mine's pretty solid on the count. Like I counted whips, the only thing that I didn't count, I have 2 things that I didn't count. One, stuff that I know is definitely giveaway. Like I'm not going to use it, so I didn't count it as part of my stash because there wasn't a way for me to stash down other than giving it away. And the reason I haven't given it away yet is because it coincides with a pattern release that hasn't happened yet. So I've got 3 pattern releases happening this year, and then I'm holding the yarn until the pattern releases. The other thing that I didn't count is yarn in my classroom because I consider that school supplies for my students. Like, it's not yarn that I'm working with other than when I demo a lesson for the kids. So I'm not considering it my stash, because just like I wouldn't consider textbooks my books. Or like there were 20 sewing machines in my classroom. I don't count that I own 20 sewing machines. They're at school. I bring them home when they break, but I don't I don't use them for personal use, even though a lot of that yarn that's in my classroom was big box yarn from my stash that I brought to school. But that doesn't count.
Okay, then I technically have another giant bag of yarn that's been hidden in my closet that I looked at and was like, oh, I should give this to Gabs. So that's also, I'm counting as school supplies.
Okay.
I give it to you later.
Yeah, I'm always doing some kind of craft project. So
some of them are kits. I think one of them is like a stocking kit. So if you have
nice.
an advanced student that like really wants something, it's for them.
So we were trying to do a challenge against each other on like how to stash, but it didn't work because we're doing different methods and different approaches. So I think we're just trying to like stash down, or at least make progress by the end of the year, have less than what we started with, I think is the overall goal, and whatever that less looks like for either of us. My goal is to have under 200 in my stash, which is half. So it's a lot, but they're mini skeins. So I'm in my mind, right? 5 mini skeins equals 100 gram skein, right? Because most of my minis are 20s. Yeah. So I'm hoping that that's how that works, but we'll see. I'm also trying to whip down, which is going medium good. I am I'm working on projects from 2015 and 2016. Like, I've committed to that in January, that I am finishing my projects from then. I had 4 of, actually had a lot. I had like 8 of them. What are you talking about?
The one behind you.
Oh, it was flat on the floor, but then I couldn't fit my chair in here. This is my first first FO of 2024. It is a blanket for my daughter Eleanor. I had all the squares done and I just hadn't joined it together. So I joined it together. I don't remember the pattern at all.
I can put in the video of her helping you.
Oh, yeah, that was helpful. Yeah, it's been blocking. It's acrylic, and I recognize that blocking acrylic is a whole thing, but I'm doing what I want with it. Mostly it's just even out the stitches, and I was eating cheddar ruffles while I made it, so that didn't go so great. And so I had to wash it. And then I have 3 others, 2 Sophies Universes that I have plans for. And one was a mandala that there was a whole dust up in terms of the pattern. I remember now. It was a crochet along, and then the middle of the pattern, the designer just like flipped out and just pulled the pattern. So like it wasn't finishable. And now it's back. She published it like 2 years later, and like it's like $9, but before it was a free on a Facebook. Like it was a whole thing, and there's like accusations of copying or like selling it, and it was like a whole thing. So I remember why I stopped working on it, and then now I'm fixing it, and Chaley's gonna make, her eyes are gonna make that weird thing it does when I show her what I've made. But I think it's awesome.
You're making a shrug again.
No.
Okay.
It's very Phoebe Halliwell. It's gonna be great. I'm really excited. I'm almost done with it. I'm gonna try and finish it today.
Okay.
But I have to finish my Sophies Universe, which is it's a big one. I'm gonna modify it though. Like it's got like, it's supposed to have 50 more rows, and I'm gonna do like 10.
Is that the one with the giant flower center?
Yeah.
What was the one that you made for Lottie?
Oh, that was the around the bases.
Noted. And then what was Daniel's?
Also an around the bases crochet along with a Sophies Universe center.
Got it.
So I'm gonna do that. My white Sophies Universe. And then I have another Sophies Universe that I've barely started. It's like this big, but I have an idea, and it's a good one. Here's the idea. I'm going to make a stool. Like I'm going to make a Sophie's Universe stool cover. Like there's a pattern. The designer released a stool pattern and I've got stools in my classroom. So I'm going to make a stool cover with it and then sand it down and cover the legs. So it's like a yarn bound stool for my classroom. So I can finish the project and then my stools will stop getting stolen because it's hard to steal something that's super unique. And to be clear, it's not being stolen by students. It's being stolen by other staff members who want stools.
Right.
And I have to go swipe my things back. Yeah.
Right. Here's my question.
Mhm.
Who's Sophie?
I have no idea.
Okay. Like, it's just like,
I think it's like the designer's like friend's daughter or something.
okay.
I have no idea.
Okay.
She's the same designer who we made Charlotte's Universe, which there's a blanket for Lottie.
Oh, that was horrible, Gabs. You didn't
Yeah.
help us at all.
No, I didn't. I had an idea and then I didn't help at all.
That was like 98% dad.
Yeah. I picked the pattern.
And you were like really cranky about the colors. And dad and I had to go to like 4 different Joann's.
Yeah.
It's not even at your house.
No, it's a heavy blanket too.
It's a big boy.
It's a warmie.
That one is staying in the family because that blanket is part of our father's soul in it.
Yeah. So
that was a hard pattern, and you had to make like 12, 16.
I think it was supposed to be 12 and then it wasn't big enough. So dad had to make 16. Yeah. It was a lot. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a stool with that and then call it good because I'm never going to finish the Sophie's Universe. It's 800 stitches around. Like that's not going to happen. And it's this big. So I figure I might as well make something that I'm going to use. I sit on my stool every day to teach. So, and it's better than having like a million blankets because my mother-in-law quilts and crochets. So we have a lot of really cool blankets at our house already. So I might as well have something that I use every day at work. And that'll be cool. And then I can use it as like a demo or a teaching tool when I teach crochet. So
I'm just trying to have less things than when I started with. So if I end 2024 with 467 skeins, I'm going to consider that a win for Jaylee because I shop when I have any kind of emotion. Joy, sadness, anger, embarrassment, any emotion, I shop. It's my thing. This is like that meme that's like, you're sad and you're depressed. Now, how do you respond to that? Add to cart. No, I'm add to cart. I add everything to cart and complete purchase always. It's not even like I hold in the cart. I'm like, no, I'm buying it, which is how I already have one more skein on its way to me, but I've bought nothing else. And I don't think I've actually bought yarn in 2024 yet, because all of those purchases were from like end of December 2023, and they're just arriving in 2024. So I've done good, I think. So better than you with my purchases. Better than you.
I did really good until Emily of Fangirl Fibers released a League of Their Own July countdown box. And I was like, I love a League of Their Own. It's one of my favorite movies. And then Shaylee was like, you could make a Gina sweater out of it, it's a sweater by Carolyn Day. And it's named after Gina Davis, who plays Dottie Henson in A League of Their Own. And she's like, you can make a Gina, because it comes with 11
and a main skein.
Yeah, I think it comes with 11 minis and then a main skein, which is the perfect amount for like sleeves, like because it's a baseball style tee, right? Because the League of Their Own is about women in baseball in World War II. So I can make the cap sleeves as the minis is striped, and then the main skein is like this part of the baseball tee. And it's awesome. And I knit fast enough over the summer to actually be able to keep up daily because it's in the round. So I'm super stoked on it. And I was like, this is such a good idea. And then I'm not like Shaylee. I sit on my purchases. I sat on it for like a day. And I was like, will I be sad if July comes around and I don't have it? Or will I have forgotten about it? And I was like, no, you're going to be big sad. So I bought it. But according to my sister, it doesn't count as stash yet because I don't have it because it was a free
Exactly.
so as long, and I'm actually under my 439 already because I counted webs. So I am at 428 skeins right now. So I'm 11 down
Mhm.
even with the addition.
Mhm.
So I only have to finish 2 more skeins before July to have met the goal and buy nothing else.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it will be there. Like I knit a lot. Chaylee and I, what did we like? Chaylee knit like 70 things last year.
Oh yeah, which my goal, that's my loftier goal, is I would like triple digits. So my goal is to knit more things, which I think will help with the stashing down thing. So I would like, goal is triple digits for completed projects.
I like it. Mine was over 100, but a lot of them were cozies. But you could do and
That
still get
still counts.
right because this is Chaylee on December 29th with her project done. I bought her making cozies because I'm like, she's like, yeah, I'm at 87. I bet I could make 13 yarn cozies in 3 days. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, you could.
and should you? Probably not, but you
Nah,
can.
you got me my gun and my little thingy. I'm good. I already cracked into my de-stress tea. It didn't work, but it was yummy.
I can't help you. Sometimes the stress is more powerful than plants.
I know I needed more than the honey lavender.
So I actually think I will have less. I'll have knit less this year than I will next year because a lot of my projects are blankets. So I won't have 20 cozies and I'm trying to finish the Sophies Universe and those things that'll be one skein, which I also was thinking, and I was like, I should just mention this. All of my blankets that you'll see me finishing, they're all going to be white. And you're like, why are you knitting so much white? Because in 2015, that's all I could afford. And it's 8 years later. I have a job. I'm married. I've got 2 incomes now. But I also want to point that out that like we're in a different place in our lives where our stash is big now, but I couldn't afford more than that. I was in grad school, full time. So I bought Lion Brand, the pound of loam Lion Brand at the time. It was $6 on a coupon. And I made my entire Sophie's Universe blanket with 2 of them. So it ended up costing me $12 because that's what I could afford as a grad student. And I still love it. My kid sleeps under my Around the Bases cowl that ended up costing me $7 and she loves it every night. So if you're in the place where you're like, they have so much stash, how did they get there? We're in a different place in our lives. Um, and we still love our stuff, right? Like Chaylee's Triceratops is big box yarn. She loves her Triceratops.
I have multiple of them that I'll go get them. But like I also well, that's a lot of alsos. I feel very thankful that the people in our lives also know what we really like. So my next big percentage of my stash is gifts. And it's not just from Gaps. So like my best friend Michaela, my friend Inger, my friend Letty, like they're not knitters, but they know. And they're like, okay, I'm going to go to my local yarn store. Like, what should I go get? And so those gifts are from my non-knitting people, which I think is awesome. And our family gifts us yarn and our uncle gives us yarn. So they know what we like. Also, I have no responsibilities other than myself. So that's why I'm such a big spender on myself, because I'm in charge of Chaylee and making sure Chaylee survives. So as long as Chaylee eats, we're good. And my Chaylee's power stays on, then I have all that extra budget to buy what I want. Plus, also my argument is there are much worse things I could be spending all my money on than yarn. It's hurting nobody.
Absolutely.
I mean,
So that still doesn't answer why it's all white. Well, because in Irvine at the time, the Lion brand that I could afford there were 3 colors: pink, blue, and white. And I thought, well, if this is going to be a blanket that I'm going to have forever, white is going to be something I'm probably going to like for a lot longer. And when I have more money, I can always dye it. That if I really don't like the white, it can turn into something else because white's a decent neutral. So that's what was at when I was in grad school at UC Irvine. That was what they had. They had Lion brand, white, pink, or blue. Now, Shannon, do you have 35 colors?
a lot of colors.
Which is like I would have picked mint. I would have picked all the colors for the same price. But I feel like in the mid 2000s, knitting and crocheting had kind of a lull. Like now it's getting pretty popular and it's trendy. It wasn't trendy then, so there weren't a bunch of options. Yeah. So if you're in a place where you're like, they have so much stuff. It wasn't always like this. It may not be like this forever for us. So we're fortunate where we are in our lives, but no shame if you're like, I'm only using acrylic. Sweet. It's way better to wash with. I feel much more comfortable. I wear most of my acrylic stuff way more because I'm not so scared, right?
I've had
Especially
this bad boy since college.
she loves that thing. I think she puts her head on it when she's not feeling
Well,
good.
but also because Gabs found these patterns. They're the Heidi Bears. I'm sorry, there's bad glare. They're the Heidi Bears patterns. But you're supposed to use fingering weight, but you have to make like 100 and something of these hexies. And I'm like, even now, I am not willing to use my 200 something skeins of fingering weight to make myself this. So it's Red Heart, I think.
So. I think it's Red Heart Super Saver.
It's a mix of Red Heart and Karen. And that's why he's giant. He's not supposed to be this big.
No, he's absolutely like, monstrous.
It's like a worsted weight compared to a fingering weight. So we've made pillow pets instead of the cute little plushies you're supposed to make, because I've seen them at stores and I'm like, it's like but this is like, I'm gonna go get mine while Gabs vamps, because I have this bad boy.
They also made one for my husband. Is it the Triceratops that Daniel has, or the Stag?
Yeah, the Triceratops has less of these than the
My
Stag.
husband has his is like blue gray colors. His
name is Spearmint because they're all named after desserts that start with
an S. Right. My kids love it.
This is sorbet.
Right. She's just tromping around with her stuffed and stuff.
And it is Spumoni, which we adjusted. It's a bulldog, but we made it have tall ears, so it would be a French bulldog. So this is Spumoni. And then this is my rhinoceros.
Oh my gosh.
Sprinkles. Do
you only have 3? I feel like you
No, because I have Sherbet at home, but that's the one that had rainbow colors, so he didn't match my decor here at my own home, my adult home, in my Bratz sweatshirt.
So the Heidi Bears patterns are great. They're on Ravelry. She hasn't released any new ones in probably 10 or 15 years. I don't think she designs anymore. I know according to her bio, she was a doctor in South Africa. So I don't know, maybe she just stepped away from designing. Oh yeah, I was supposed to say Sophies Universe was a free pattern, right? Like that's where I was free pattern. I used a crochet hook that I had borrowed from my mother-in-law and was using my lion brand yarn, and I was happy as can be about my knitting. And I still love it, other than it's an absolute beast and I haven't finished it. And I didn't not finish it because I didn't like it. I didn't finish it because I was moving out of my grad school apartment. I had graduated and was starting my teaching credential program, so it got put in a box. Being a student teacher was hard, so I'm planning a wedding at the same time, just never pulled it back out. Moved, left it at mom and dad's house. They didn't send it to me until this year, because 2 children, a pandemic, and a house later,
here we are.
Now I'm finishing my Sophies Universe, because I want to have it, like. And she has a saggy belly, but I also have a saggy belly, so it's okay.
Saggy bellies, more common than not.
I feel like that's right. Like,
saggy belly squad, am I right?
I'm gonna try and block her out. She's a beast. She's huge. So, but also it's a blanket. So like, how oftentimes do you see like a blanket other than in a staged shoot where it's all completely flat and stretched out? Not that often, because even if you put it out on your beds are usually kind of lumpy, unless you're like military style, but I'm not like that. Sometimes I don't make it. I make my bed like 20% of the time. So it'll be
I saw on Instagram that's actually supposed to be better, because the dust mites fester underneath the covers, but if you leave it open, the air kills them. So you should leave your bed messy.
Ha! Tell mom that.
I'm afraid to. You have to go first.
Mom used to make us make our beds every single day.
Hated that. I kind of throw it so it like looks flattish.
Mine's all lumpy because I still have my pregnancy pillow. I love it.
Oh yeah, you love that thing.
My husband does not love it, but whatever.
So this is us. Here we are. And our final question for you all is
Not related to stash at all.
not related at all, but it's more of like a generational thing. So I got my hair cut. If you're new here, I had very, very long hair for most of it, but I don't like getting my hair cut. And the only reason I kept it long was because I had some weddings that I was in and I wanted to be able to style it more. So I have chopped it all off, and then I will wait another year and a half before, and then I will just chop it all off again. That's my vibe.
I do
But
that too.
the lady styled with a middle part, and we can't decide, do we like middle part or do we like Chaley's regular part, which is this?
So what do you think? I think both look fine. I just think the middle part makes her look younger because it's a very Gen Z middle part situation. And it looks less like my sister because I'm used to her having a side part. I also have a side part because I am firmly a millennial. Chaley is like she's
I'm a cusper.
she's a zillennial because like I think the cutoff is technically 1995 to be millennials versus Gen Z. However, Daniel and I have a very scientific theory on this, that if you have an older sibling who's a millennial, if you're on the cusp like Chaley, like the 95 to 97 kids, if you have older siblings, you tend to act more like a millennial because you're influenced by your older siblings. If you
are the older
sibling and you have like a younger sibling who's like 2000, 2001, that kind, you tend to be more of a Gen Zer because you're influenced by what they're doing as well. I have no theory if you're like the middle child or an only child, thus very scientific. And we have like 3 anecdotes to back this up. But yes, so I have my millennial side part. I can't even, like, my hair resists a center part. Like I can't even do it. Like it's extreme resistance. I also don't think it looks that nice. Like I don't like it as much. So I am a firm
I think I
millennial.
used to have a middle part at like the beginning of college, maybe.
Well,
I
see,
also don't know if it's
I went to high school where you did this to your hair and then you did this to your hair.
oh well, I had the swoopers.
Oh, yes. No, we did this where it was clipped and then you pinned it and you slicked it back and
Yeah, you did.
yeah. Yeah, and I loved it. I'm so glad that style's coming back because I do my hair like that sometimes now.
Dude, the claw clips, I'm really glad that those are back in. Those things are handy. Plus they're like colors that they have now are much cuter.
And they're nice and they're bigger. Like Daniel calls it my octopus because my hair is decently thick. So I like it. I am not a fan of the crop tops coming back with the baggy
No, I would like
sweats.
the rest of my shirt, please.
I know. Oh my gosh, there's this trend on Instagram or TikTok where it's like teachers dress like students. Like it's like a spirit day. And I'm like, ugh. I actually think I could do it. I think I could do the oversized hoodie and like the kids put their hoodies up all the time and like the baggy pants. I could do that. Like the parachute jeans, I could do that. But I'm like, I'm not wearing a teeny tiny top because I got a saggy belly.
I had a student walk into my office with what is front crop top, but was tied in the back. Like it was like the back was like teeny tiny little tires, and then low-rise pants. And I was like, my whole body would fall out of that. I would like squeeze out like a soft, like you're trying to get something there, I would pop out of that thing.
No.
I
I
don't
like it.
dress
I
like my
like
students.
I
I'll dress
like
like
that
the
there's more
boys.
body positivity, that people are more freer to wear what they want to wear. I'm like, that I'm great. That's cool, but it's not for me.
I think I dress like my male identifying students more.
I'm firmly in my mom dress era and I love it so much. It's so comfy. I'm like, I see why people are doing. I think that's the perk of being a teacher though, is as long as you're decently like covered and semi-professional, you don't actually have to be stylish.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like, as long as it's like shoulders are covered and like some of the younger teachers don't do that anyway, but like as long as it's like you look like a teacher and a semi-adult, you don't actually have to be on the hippest clothes because I teach high school. They're never going to think I'm cool anyway, or they're going to think I'm cool regardless of what I wear because you like your teacher, right?
I got this one super trendy outfit that the majority of the tour guides thought was awesome. And then one goes to the other tour guide, why is Chaylee wearing scrubs? Because I had this cute like monochrome thing going with like a wide leg dress pant and like the matching top. And all my girls were like, oh my God, yes, monochrome, so cute. And then Noah's like, Sophia, why is Chaylee wearing scrubs today? And I'm like, here I am. It's fine. Okay. But
you got to work with the youth. They keep you humble because like some days I'm like, I'm killing this. And then other days I look ridiculous. And they're like, I love that, Miss Crazy Me. Like, really? I look kind of insane. All right.
sometimes when they tell me, they're like, oh, I like that. I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong with it? Tell me what's wrong. Like, I can tell you're making fun of me. What's wrong with it? And they're like, why don't you trust me? I'm like, because you're always making fun of me. So I don't believe the compliment.
Sometimes I'm like, they're like, Miss Crazy Me, you look nice. I'm like, you want to turn your work in late? Trying to get extra credit? What you trying to do right now?
Yep.
Even though I'm one of the most lenient teachers at school. So I'm like, you don't really have to like, butter me up. You just got to communicate and tell me why you're having drugs, and then we're probably fine. But anyway,
we've digressed, obviously. But thank you for joining us for our stash stats. I'm sure we'll check in again probably before 2024 ends. I'm having a lot of issues with glare now.
Oh yeah, because you're all the way out. Well, I just have like a bright light through this window.
Fantastic. Here we are, folks, coming to you as our normal selves. We will see you next time. Podcast forthcoming. Bye.
This is Mommy and This is Nanny. This is a daddy.